Welcome to the new season of ABBA League. This year, after each round, we will also show you our magazine, where you'll see all the results, highlights from games, best players, actions and stories around the league. Before the 13th season starts on Friday, we'll highlight some important things from last season, changes in teams, and see who are the favorites this year around. Let's firstly see what was happening in the first season, where teams could actually qualify for the EuroLeague. There was an extremely good start for Igokea from Aleksandrovac, and although many predicted it stumbled, that didn't happen, so Igokea actually finished top of the pile after a regular season with only 6 losses. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough to guarantee them EuroLeague games because their arena was labeled too small. Because of 2 early defeats in Dalmatia, there was already a coaching change in one of the favorite clubs, Crvena Zvezda, who had parted ways with Milivoje Lazic and replaced him with Vlada Vukojic, who did turn things around and lead Crvena Zvezda to 2nd place. Radnički also recorded a slow start, but things did turn for the better with the arrival of Aleksandar Čapin, who had an outstanding season in which he was named MVP for the league. With his help, Radnički finished the regular season in 3rd place and recorded its first F4 and European qualification. Partizan, with its youngest squad to date, also reached the final tournament in the very last round by getting a much-needed win against Solnok. Already in the first semi-final, we witnessed real drama between Crvena Zvezda and Radnički. The Belgrade outfit arrived with yet another coach, as they had parted ways with Vukojic after 2 unexpected losses in the home championship, and subsequently Dejan Radonić, with former man of Budućnost, stepped in. Fortunately for Crvena Zvezda, Radnički also arrived after some unexpected results. Radnički had a great spell in the second quarter in which they took the lead by 13 points, but then Crvena Zvezda scored 16 consecutive. Then in the third quarter, the Belgrade team took the lead by 9 points, only to be caught again by Radnički. In the fourth quarter, Crvena Zvezda again took control and the lead by 9, but then suddenly stopped and allowed Radnički an 18-2 run, which gave them the lead of 7 points only 2.5 minutes before the end. But then it was Radnički's turn to unexpectedly stop scoring, with Crvena Zvezda completely taken advantage of. In the second semi-final, we saw a close game for the first 3 periods, but then in the last quarter, Partizan took the initiative with 4 consecutive 3-pointers by Vladimir Lucic and Dragan Milosavljevic. Of the 10 Partizan 3-point shots, 5 of them came in the last period. Igokea was simply too nervous, had lost 15 balls and went through big trouble even to score. So, the final saw the 219th eternal derby between Crvena Zvezda and Partizan. That year, Crvena Zvezda had won the first 3 encounters, but the last one was won by Partizan, who also hadn't lost a game at the end of the domestic championship. In the final, Partizan started well with a 7-0 lead, but Crvena Zvezda did succeed to react in time and took their first lead with 11-9, and it had stayed in the lead for much of the first half. The biggest it had reached was actually right at the half-time buzzer when Boris Savovic had taken them to 32-25. But in the third quarter, Partizan soon caught up with Crvena Zvezda, with Leo Westerman scoring 10 out of 15 Partizan points, and after 30 minutes the Black and Whites were leading with 50-45. A little later the lead was increased to 53-45. Then Igor Rakočević took things into his own hands, but received little help from other players, with the exception of Raško Katic perhaps. After both coaches were excluded from the bench for improper behavior, there was an obvious disparity in coaching the game to the end, as Crvena Zvezda Milan Gurović had far fewer experience with coaching than Vujovic's assistant Velimir Gašić, who already in the season stepped in 5 times in place of commonly suspended Vujošević. When a minute and a half before the end Partizan built a 10-point lead, the game was decided and Partizan had won its 6th title, Vujovic's 5th. So the 13th season will also feature 14 teams, with mostly few changes from last year. Only one team is new, last place split, being replaced by Mega Vizura from Smederevo. Best 4 teams after the regular season will qualify for the Final Four, with finalists getting EuroLeague tickets and the third will get through the qualification. This year's EuroLeague teams from ABA League will be Crvena Zvezda and Partizan, and 7 more from the league will feature in the Eurocup. Igokea, Radnički, Budućnost, Cedevita, Skopje, Olimpija and Cibona. Now let's turn our attention to changes in teams and see who are the favorites. First, the champions Partizan. Last year, the best team in the league's history played with the youngest team to date and got to the Final Four by winning their last game of the regular season. Then, in the tournament itself, they firstly beat the home team Igokea in the semis and then for the title their biggest rival Crvena Zvezda. Even with their 6 ABA League titles and a freshly taken domestic championship, the club still fell into big financial crisis and their account was blocked. The Serbian state eventually helped the team and they will be able to go for the 7th crown. From important players, they've lost their captain Vladimir Lucic and Bosnian national team player Nemanja Gordic. Newcomers are ex-NBA player Terence Kinsey and the Frenchman Boris Dalot. The team with most ABA League titles will most certainly be able to fight for the trophy again. Last year's second place Crvena Zvezda will feature in the EuroLeague after 14 long years, like in most previous seasons, with big changes in their squad. Igor Rakočević is staying, although he might retire from the game. Also staying are Boris Savovic, Michael Scott, Vuk Radivojević and Bojan Subotic. Newcomers are Slovenian national team player Jaka Blažić, MVP of last season's Serbian league Boban Marjanović, and Americans Charles Jenkins and Blake Schilp. Judging by names alone, it's a team capable of doing great things. The most pleasant surprise of last year was Igokea, who finished top of the pile after this regular season with just 6 losses, but then lost a home semi-final to Partizan. This year they will be taken seriously from the start, and also the pressure from the home support will be bigger, as it will expect good results. Coach Dragan Bajic lost Slovenian international player Nebojša Joksimović, as well as both Americans Corsley Edwards and Cliff Hammonds. Also missing this year will be Miloš Komatina, Filip Adamović and Marko Brkić. But they have reinforced themselves with 2 Americans, Kendrick Mays and Ramon Galloway, Canadian centre Michael Frazier, ex-Helios player Nikola Gačeša and Uroš Nikolić. There are also 2 Montenegro players, Boris Bakic and Miljan Paukovic. All of them will comprise a team well capable of fighting for a Final Four spot, but the main difference from last year will be playing in the Euro Cup and hence less time to prepare for the ABA League games. Last year's third team Radnički was very close to reaching the final, and with that the EuroLeague pass. But then they didn't succeed in qualifying for the ABA League through domestic championship. They only got here because Vojvodina had to withdraw from playing in the ABA League due to financial problems. But nevertheless, coach Miroslav Nikolić lost quite a few players from last year. MVP Aleksandar Čapin, 2 excellent Americans, Tereko White and Brian Manning, Stefan Sinovec, Steven Markovic and Bojan Krstovic. Newcomers are experienced ex-national team player and also champion with FMP Marko Marinovic, new national team player and Eurobasket participant Nikola Kalinic. Big mystery are foreigners DJ Selly and from Benin, Muftafu Yaru. If coach Nikolić will have luck with them like recent years with all foreigners, they can fight for Final Four, but that would be great success if they repeat last year's results. Budućnost, after 2 times in Final Four, missed placement in Laktaši due to worse mutual results against Partizan. After regular season, they lost coach Dejan Radonić, who went to Crvena Zvezda. Instead came less experienced Igor Jovović, first-time coach in the ABA League. Budućnost lost 3 players, D. Boost, Gerald Lee and Strahinja Milošević, but got MVP of the league Aleksandar Čapin and 2 foreign centers, American William Coleman and Nigerian Jalil Akindele. Also returning home is Suat Čehović, who was great in preparation games, Miloš Komatina from Igokeja and Bojan Subotić from Crvena Zvezda. On first sight, team looks stronger than last year, especially if Čapin would play as last year in Radnički, so if they had luck with foreigners, they can also reach the Final Four. Last year's most expensive team, Cedevita, didn't get any title at all, with 6th place qualified to Eurocup, a lot less than expected. It was the only team led by 3 coaches. Now they got with Croatian national team very successful coach Jasmin Repeša, who signed for 4 years. He lost some important and experienced players: best scorer Bracy Wright, Macedonian national team player Vlado Ilijevski, Croatian national player Lukša Andrić, veteran Predrag Šuput, American Derwin Kitchen and Ante Masić. Newcomers are Ante Delaš from Zadar, Ivan Ramljak from Široki, Tomislav Zupčić from Sibona. On playmaker position came ex-NBA player from Portland Trailblazers Nolan Smith. Other holes will be filled by young players in which they have invested a lot of money. A lot younger team than last year. If they repeat last season's 6th place, it would be a good result. Last year's 7th place was rookie MZT Skopje, who has led by national team coach Aleš Pipan, who returned to Slovenia and took Union Olimpija. Instead came last year's Crvena Zvezda's coach Vlada Vukojičić, ex-champion of the league with FMP. MZT holds most of main players and also bring American center Justin Reynolds, ex-Krka Uroš Lučić, Stefan Sinovec from Radnički and a national team player Aleksandar Kostovski. Leadership of the club hopes Vukojičić would go step forward from last year's 7th place, especially because they hold the team in experienced guys like Todor Gečovski and Georgi Čekovski. With home fanatic fans, they will be very dangerous for all the teams in home arena and also will fight for the European tickets. Last year's 8th placed EuroLeague Union Olimpija was one of the biggest disappointments of the league. Too many ups and downs, they lost their chances for Final Four after they sold best centre Aaron Baines to San Antonio Spurs and when Dylan Page left the team. Olimpija got new coach Aleš Pipan from Skopje, who wanted to hold Jaka Blažić and Klemen Prepelic, but they left the team. Last year great under Baskets Dino Muric will return after the injury in December. Also left the team was Jan Močnik, Jasmin Perković, captain Temo Raniko and Jan Finn Emir Sulejmanović. Newcomers are national team players Jaka Brodnik and Nebojša Joksimović. Veterans Dragiša Drobnjak is a new captain, Croatian prospect Paolo Marinelli, Americans Lamar Jackson, Jerome Augustus, Alex Stevenson and Lithuanian Davidus Gaulius. Very changed team with new coach, so it is difficult to say what team can do. Final Four would be a great success. Other Slovenian team Krka was also a big disappointment with final 9th place with only 9 wins. They were 4th times in a row national champions of the season, so it was not bad, but coach Gašpar Potočnik had to leave his place to one of the most successful Krka's coach of all time, Aleksandar Džikić, who returned after 2 years when he was home in Euro Challenge champion. He lost legend of the club Matjaž Smodiš, who retired but will stay in the club as an advisor. Also left was Ljako Vladović, Uroš Lučić, Jure Lalić and Domen Lorbek. Newcomers are national team player Luka Lapornik, veteran Jasmin Hukic, Chris Booker, who already played for Krka 2 years ago, Croatian Zvonko Buljan and an American playmaker Ray Armstead. Krka hopes Džikić would repeat their results from a few years ago and go higher than last year. Final Four would be, of course, a great success. Team from Široki Brijeg after last year's season find himself in big financial problems, but with their new sponsor Primorka, it stayed alive. Široki has again a very young team hungry for success. They lost almost all of their main players from last year: best scorer Marko Šutalo, Željko Šakić, Ivan Ramljak and Dalibor Peršić. Newcomers are Franko Kastropil from Zadar, American point guard Julius Scholes, and the Croatian players Tomislav Petrovic, Toni Katic and Ivan Buva. For many players, first international experience, so probably they will fight for survival in the league. Main advantage will be no pressure, which can help them especially in the home arena Petsara, where every year they beat some of the big names. In the more famous team from capital of Croatia, Cibona, they managed to hold most of the main players from last year. What was disappointment with only 9 wins. They lost only 3 players, veteran Sandro Nicevic, Pavle Marcinkovic and Tomislav Zupčić. Cibona played better in the end of the season and took Croatian championship and got some new quality players. Matt Jennings from Siena, from Maccabi on loan Darko Planinic. The most important thing is staying last year's best player DJ Strawberry and a point guard Gerald Blessingame, veteran Andrija Žižić and a very nice prospect, new national team player Dario Šarić. Probably most important is coming a very successful coach, Neven Spahia, who signed a 4-year contract, so Cibona means seriously to get business done, back on the old track and back to the EuroLeague. If we look at the names, they have a chance, but they must be proved on the court. Last year, Solnoki was for a long time last place team. With some changes in the roster, finally found a good shape and got nice 9 wins for a rookie. Nenad Aščerić made a good job, but this year is another year and probably they will fight for survival. With great fans this year, they can also beat home great teams like last year, when they beat Partizan, Olimpija, Cedevita and Krka. They lost a few important players like Montenegro national team player Sead Čehović, Latvian Ernest Calve and American Brandon Gay. Newcomers are Americans Chris Oliver and Willie Warren, power forward Peter Laurent and experienced Miljan Rakic, ex from Hemofarm, and some young players. More than last year's 9 wins would be a great success. For Zadar, there's a saying, there's a home of basketball, but for many years club has big financial problems. That is why every year they change many players. That's happened also this year. They lost best player Romeo Travis and Jozo Brkic, veteran Barisa Krasic, Šason Allen, Ante Delaš, Vedran Morovic, Franko Kastropil and Karlo Vragovic. Newcomers are Marko Car, who already played in Zadar. Foreigners are from NCAA Scoop Jadine and British Andrew Lawrence. From Split came Tony Dian, homeboy, and a great fighter under the basket Josip Sobin. The last one is Ante Djugum. Zadar stayed in the league with the last round's win over Split. This year they will also fight for survival, especially because Solnoki and MZT Skopje have guaranteed places also for next year. Last one is the only rookie, Mega Vizura from Smederevo. Coach is one of the ex-best players from Partizan, Dejan Milojevic. One of the youngest teams in the league, come to league for get experience, especially young star Vasilije Micic. He was a young club founded in 1998. On this level is brought by the agent of Miodrag Miško Ražnatović. Last year they played with Novica Veličković, who returned after a hard injury. Mega Vizura has one of the biggest talents in this area in Vasa Micic, who was in silver in World Championship under 19 with Serbia and in the end in first 5 of the tournament team. But they lost last year's MVP of the Serbian league, the big guy Boban Marjamovic. Instead came veteran Ratko Varda. Probably they will fight for survival, but never underestimate Serbian teams, which do have a lot of talent, which Mega Vizura actually does. Because this is one of the best European leagues, it goes with time also in technical sense. Like every year, also this year, it has organized a seminar for referees, team members, statistical people and scorers table. That is why they cooperated with New Belgrade's Faculty for Sport, in which works EuroLeague referee Milivoje Jovcic, who had some lectures about the new rules. There were also present a president of ABA, Mr. Radovan Lorbek, director Josip Bilic and vice president of Serbian League, Mr. Dejan Tomašević. Today, Faculty of Sport is home for basketball statistics. Mr. Lisac recognized high educational institution which has goal to educate people for sport activity. Lectures were being given by prominent basketball workers. Beside Milivoje Jovcic, lectures were also given by referee Chief Aleš Kamnikar and physical trainer Vladan Radonjic. New faculty is great acquisition for many current and ex-sportsmanship who went to first year and will someday become trainers, agents or sports journalists. Our goal is to educate first-class coaches and sportsmen together. There are a lot of them, like Vasilije Micic, Nemanja Dangubic, Andreja Lekic, Svetlana Kitic, and ex-great sportsmen who now they need education for their future work.
Kojima zaista treba obrazovanje i koji su prepoznali da mogu ovde da nađu ono što im za dalje život i profesiju treba.
The seminar was visited also by EuroLeague referees Chief Greek Kostas Rigas, who works with lot with ABA League, which gives 29 referees for EuroLeague. Also 9 teams participate in ULEB competitions, EuroLeague and Euro Cup. Another recognition for ABA League, which is in the spotlight because of giving spots in the ULEB competitions.
A to podnosi za sobom I veliku našu odgovornost.
This brings high responsibility of this league, so our task is to tell referees to referee as fair as possible. Teams invest a lot of money and work, so they cannot depend on one referee.
Dobro I pravedno tu te odluke da budu sve sa 110% pravedne, jer iza toga stoji uvijek jedno ulaganje, su na drugu strani timovi koji puno ulože I rada I novca I svega u jedan tim, tako da se ne sme da se tu bilo šta odlučuje, ne znam, da jedan sudija odlučuje u sudbini jednog tima.
After the great preparations in this seminar, we have no doubt that this year will have excellent refereeing. So, the league starts on Friday with a game between Skopje and Union Olimpija. Then comes the games on Saturday, which are 4 of them: Cibona Radnički, Široki, Crvena Zvezda, Krka Budućnost and Zadar Solnoki. There are also 2 games on Sunday: Partizan meeting Igokea, which is the repeat of the last Final Four semi-final, and Mega Vizura will take on Ceda Vita as the last game on Sunday at 7 p.m. And just for the end of the show, we will have the 10 best actions of the last season. This is Romeo Travis's basket for the win against Partizan. 9th place is Terrico White with his alley-oop. 8th place, another alley-oop by Drew Gordon from Partizan. 7th place is Brian Manning. Great dunking from the American for Radnički. 6th place, Goran Gajovic, Igokea. Again, Brian Manning, Radnički. 4th place, Tamarkus Nelson from Crvena Zvezda. 3rd place, this basket from Matej Rojc from Krka. 2nd place, Vladimir Lucic, alley-oop from Partizan. And the best action from the season is this one from Stefan Birčević from Radnički. This is all for this time. We'll see you next time, so please stay in our company.